I'm going to show you a recreation of a great highway classic.
Oh, it was just years ahead of its time. It has absolutely outstanding aerodynamics. Everything about it is something you're just thinking of today.
If Joe Scott looks like a man who's having the time of his life, it's because he is. He was a career trucker, having spent 29 years as the owner of London White Truck Limited. He sold that lucrative business in 1976. Now he's reveling in his retirement. Scott is now a collector, restorer, and historian of antique trucks and motors. He takes on projects big and small, like the 1940 John Deere tractor. It's totally refinished, down to the shade of green.
Yes, and it runs just beautiful. It's two-cylinder. Now we'll take a look at the Keg Truck first.
Yes. Is the Keg Truck your pride and joy?
Well, the Keg Truck was the first thing that I done after retiring from the truck business.
Scott loves his toys, his trucks, not to be confused with toy trucks. Scott's collection is of the rare variety, vehicles that had been driven into the ground decades ago. But thanks to Scott's interest and effort, they're back on all four wheels, restored as running pieces of history.
What I do is so enjoyable that I get up in the morning and I just come out here first thing. It's just like, it's a terrible thing that you have to work, but they call them kind of people work addicts, but it's really not. I enjoy every minute of it, really.
Every painstaking minute of it. Take, for instance, this 1919 Keg Truck, Labatt's first delivery truck. It was his first retirement project, completed with the help of his late brother Bob in 1978. It took 8 months to strip, sandblast, and repair the Keg Truck to 1919 mint condition. After completing his first labor of love, Scott donated the keg to Labatt's. It has become a self-contained traveling museum, and its success has spurred on a string of restoration projects and donations that continue today.
Well, it's a passion. You just gotta like old things and understand a little bit about them. Some things are unbelievable. I'll show you some of the very interesting things that I have here in the barn that if I ever live long enough, I will get around to restoring them.
The Streamliner was the Scott brothers' dream restoration. Scott says when you're repairing a truck built in 1947, in which only 10 were manufactured, locating parts can prove a frustrating process. Some parts were found all over North America, but more than that, some tools as well as parts had to be totally remade.
We had made a whole series of hammers which had different angles on them and different irons that had to fit the curves that we needed to do this job. And we had to make special leather bags, these horsehide filled with sand, and then we would heat the aluminum up to a temperature that is just about melting. So then we would put it on the sandbag, and they'd start tapping it.
4.5 years were poured and pounded into making the Streamliner dream a reality. The Streamliner was an arduous task, requiring Scott to search the continent from Nevada to British Columbia for Streamliner trailers. Despite the frustrations of repairing an antique, Scott says it was well worth it. And ultimately, it was Scott's personal drive to restore pieces of 20th century history that drove this Streamliner project from start to finish. And he's more than happy to take his vehicles on a show and tell tour. In recent years, Labatt's has sponsored trips across North America and Europe for Scott and the Keg and Streamliner trucks. From the looks of it, Scott doesn't mind this retirement vocation, sharing automotive history.
Next week,